everybody, welcome to the Mike Bocchetti Show. I'm Mike Bocchetti, and my lovely and talented co-host, actress, and writer, Jenny Springs.
Thank you, Mike. How are you doing today?
Good, Jen. I'm doing good but I fouled up before this started. You know, in real life, with a clumsy old fire, spilling, knocking stuff, right? I was trying to put the phone up in the thing here, right?
Mhm.
And it just went to pieces. But thank God, as luck would have it, I went out and got this last week. And if I didn't get it, I would be crying all night long here right now. You know?
Yeah, well, it's a good thing you did that. It's a good thing you got that case.
I know, because,
Yeah.
you know what I'm drinking tonight? Watch this. Yes. This is
And here is Mike Bocchetti.
Mike
Hi, Mike.
Bocchetti. Thank you, Jenny.
How you doing today?
Good. I'm pretty good.
Good. Same here.
Another day, another thing, because, Jen, I
That's
started
just-
eating these things.
Yeah.
Veggie sticks. They taste kind of like vegetables. I don't know what they are, because 10 years from now, who knows what they'll be doing with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think those are pretty processed. I think they're more
I
like
know.
chips than vegetables, but
Organic is the best.
what is?
Organic.
Oh, organic, yeah.
Like organic fruits are the best because there's no chemicals. You know what I mean? All you got to do is wash them in the water. Jen, this is my friend Walker. She's a comedian, actress, writer. I know her for a bunch of years. She's originally from Maryland.
Yep.
Nice.
Indeed,
And
I am.
Walker, this is Jenny. She's my co-host.
Hi, Walker. Nice to meet
Nice to
you.
meet you too.
So where do you live now?
I'm in Atlanta.
You're in Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah.
You like it there?
I do. I love it. It's really fun. I've relocated here actually before pandemic, so
Okay.
I got out in the nick of time. And then I just split my time between the two. But yeah, I'm based here.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about Maryland? Do you like it there too? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I still have some family there, but I mainly go there now just for work, just for opportunities. I did the Kennedy Center last Saturday in DC, so that was incredible. And I'll go home for shows, but yeah, mostly down south now.
That's nice. That's cool. So, what kind of shows do you do?
I'm a stand-up.
Okay, so I can ask you the same question. Is it scary for you, like getting up there and like if something falls flat, like what do you do?
You move on.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I mean, I know Mike is good at like addressing audience and whatnot. I don't tend to do that, but then I don't really have heckle inducing stuff. I don't address the crowd a whole lot, at least not like specifically. I'll just say generalities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I just keep chugging right along. You know, they're not all going to be home runs. You just gotta keep playing.
All right, I think that's a great attitude to have. So,
Yep. Okay, Jen, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Mike. I was actually going to say.
I'm sorry for taking the train of thought away. I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It slipped from my head now. You know, I have a terrible memory.
No, yeah.
I do.
Yeah, but welcome. Jenny's been to California. I've been there a bunch of times, right? And I know you lived out there for a while, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's better for us to be out there or New York for stuff to happen to us?
I think it's like very individual where you're going to thrive. I mean, there's still probably more TV opportunities in California, but I think New York is a better environment for you to get good at being on stage, just because there's more breadth of opportunity. You don't need to be in a car, so you can do more shows. And like for somebody like me, my hair is kind of red right now, but yeah, like I'm naturally blonde haired, blue eyed. There's a lot more of me in California already. So I stand out more in New York, and I stand out even more in Atlanta just because, you know, the pool is a little bit smaller. So it's just, I think you have to strategize for yourself where you're gonna do the best.
How do people, I like vacation, but I don't know how to, to live there is a different thing.
I mean, I enjoyed my time there, but I prefer being based on the East Coast and just going to California for work when I need to. But yeah, I mean, I think I know people that have made the leap from New York to Cali and they love it. It's better for them. I lived in New York first, then I went to California and I started stand up in Hollywood. And then I came back because New York is just a lot more my vibe. I love California in small pieces. Like when I'm there all the time, it's not for me. I want to be like the hustle of New York and the energy of New York is just better for me.
I love the energy of New York, and I love the fact that you can walk everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it might take a while, but you can walk. In California, when I went there, I mean, you have to drive everywhere.
Yeah, and I just felt very disconnected from people.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's just a lot of my look out there. So I like going somewhere that I'm going to be more. I like to be the one that stands out, Mike.
But Jen, when I did Last Comic Stand and like the second one, Kathy Griffin was one of the judges, right? And so was Gary Marshall. So they called people out if they liked them. This is what Kathy said to me. She goes, "You're a freak," meaning me.
Kathy Griffin said that to you?
Yeah, but Jen, you know what though? In New York, part of my friends' girls, right? I would be like, "Fuck you, idiot!"
Did you say that to her?
No.
I was like, you said that on
I
NBC.
felt like saying it, right? But I found out, Jen, a freak in LA means you think you're unique. It's not a bad thing to be a freak in LA.
I mean,
Okay.
the vibe is just
So she meant it.
Yeah.
So she meant it in a good way. Would you call you that, or do you think?
Yeah, I actually did her show, the D-List. She had me come on and do that. She was very different, because Gary Marshall was amazing to meet for a few minutes. I mean, he was like, you could see he was a good guy, a warm-hearted person.
That's
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me and Jen talk about this sometimes, how people in the East Coast can be obnoxious, especially where we're from. And how are people in Atlanta?
Yeah, I would say people down here are way more laid back. It's like Southern gentility, Southern hospitality. So that's not to say there's not shitty people everywhere, but the vibe here is definitely much like everybody's kind and everybody says please and thank you and all the stuff that you think they do, they do.
And they hold doors and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I do my best to watch my mouth here, because when you're living in New York, you're just like, oh, how the fuck are ya? And down here, you definitely would stand out for the wrong reasons talking like that. So yeah, I definitely have tried to clean up my language and my way of speaking a little bit living down here. But it's great. I mean, everybody down here, they call Atlanta Hollywood South. So to me, it's all the good things about LA, but it's still relatively affordable. And I think the people are cooler. Sorry to Californians. But yeah, I mean, in Hollywood, it's, and you have to be, I mean, it's the vibe. You need to be self-centered. You need to be looking out for yourself. After a while, that just gets tiresome to be around. And I feel like here people are a lot more well-rounded. Not everybody is in entertainment like they are in California. Yeah, so you're meeting people that don't always have an agenda, and I appreciate that.
I think I would like that too. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. You have the entertainment business, you have regular life. It's just, I have a friend who moved down there too for work, because I know that it's gotten really big.
Yeah, it's thriving. It's kind of, I mean, that's sort of the cool thing about it is it's already thriving, obviously, and there's lots of productions here. Tyler Perry has a big studio, but it's not saturated the way that obviously Hollywood is and New York as well. So it's growing, and that's just exciting to kind of be on the cusp of something like that.
Yeah,
it really is. Because, plus, LA, like you said, Jen, it's kind of weird because, like, I mean, for me, the difference between New York and LA for me is like acting and comedy wise, right? For some reason in LA, they like unique people who's different. For some reason.
I mean, I think that's in part because people in LA it's harder for them, right? Everyone in LA wants to just look good. I feel like that's the common denominator. And that's, so when you find people that are like visibly different or interesting, that's so much fewer and further between, right? Because in New York, fashion and what's popular and all that runs the gamut. But in LA, everything's sort of homogenized, right? That's how we got all the girls that look like Kardashians and whatever. I mean, that's in Hollywood, everyone wants to look like each other. Not everybody, but by and large, like there's a standard of beauty, but in New York, it's a little bit more, unique.
Well, Jenny's, I know you're a writer as well, right? Can you tell us what you worked on? Because Jenny's a phenomenal writer. She's writes really well. I mean, and she's like, can you let us know what you worked on? I like him. Writers are my favorite people in this business, really.
Right now I'm working on a script for two really well-known comedians. I can't tell you who.
Oh no, that's okay.
But yeah, I'm working on a Christian comedy for two dudes that I'm really excited about. And then I'm in the middle of working on a game show pilot, a comedy game show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then personally, I'm performing this weekend in this competition called Monologue Madness. And it's in New York, LA, Chicago, I believe, Atlanta, and DC. And so that's really cool. They run it kind of like a March Madness bracket for like basketball. So it's actors get on stage, I do a monologue, you do a monologue, and then the audience or the judges pick which one of us did better, and then the one.
Oh, nice! I love this something like that, right, Jen?
Walker, did you write the monologue, or are you just performing the monologue?
I wrote one of them. You have to come prepared with three, so one dramatic, one comedic, and one classical. Yeah. And so I wrote the comedic piece, kind of like.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then but even if you don't, win the whole thing or even advance, it's great exposure, especially for somebody like me because I'm new to Atlanta, newish. Mm-hmm. So it's getting in front of industry and obviously just being on stage. I just love being on stage.
Yeah, I can understand that. It sounds like a really wonderful opportunity. Great.
It should be a great time. I'm very excited to. I haven't done like theater on a stage in a long time. So I'm really, obviously Mike, we're on a stage all the time as comics, but this is different. This is, you,
right?
You embodying somebody else's work is a totally different muscle to flex. So I'm really excited. It's going to be so cool.
Oh, I was going to ask you about monologue, especially now. How do you know when you found the right monologue that fits you like a glove? They're hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that. So for this, there was a piece from a show that really resonated with me, and I knew that it was unlikely that anybody else was going to pluck this character's, words out and say that's for me, because it's from a cartoon, but I loved it, so I adapted it for stage, and then I wrote my comedic. But this classical piece, which is defined by theater as anything that's 100 plus years old, that I did ask other people to weigh in and help me on, just because I haven't done classical theater in a very, very long time. And there's people that, they study their whole lives doing Shakespeare and Ibsen, and that's a very specific skill set that I don't focus on. So I wanted help from other people, like, what do you think of these pieces, and would they be good for me? Just because that's not, it's not a skill that I've practiced very often.
Well, because the thing is, I like the method style of acting, right, Jen? It's really cool because you become somebody else like that, right? Is there anybody you think would be a good teacher for that you know of?
Method acting, like just in general?
But just like, when some people say bring yourself to the character, right?
Right.
I don't like that for one reason, because I feel like it's kind of cheating, because I want to bring somebody I'm not to the character.
Yeah, I think that's super individual to the actor as to what you choose to do to prepare. And obviously, because people's favorite actors and actresses run the gamut, and they all have different teachers or different ways that they, right? Like there's people who love Keanu Reeves, and then there's people that go, Keanu Reeves always plays Keanu Reeves, right? So, but but then there's people that think he's amazing. And then you have like Daniel Day-Lewis, who is like method to the core.
Oh, yeah.
And he's very intense. And then there's people that go, that's not healthy for you as an individual to actually take on every character and live them. So I think that's just up to the person, and wherever you're going to get the best performance, then yeah. I enjoy method to an extent, but I would tend to, somebody said something really cool to me last night or a couple days ago, and I'm like, oh, mental note, I love that. She said, when somebody tells you, your agent, or you see a breakdown and it says, we want this type, we want a Julia Roberts type, or we want a Robert De Niro type. There's only that type because that actor makes such specific choices. So what you really want to do is you want them to at some point be like, we want a Mike Bocchetti type, or we want a Walker Hayes type. Right. And I've never thought of it like that. And that resonated so much with me that I'm telling like every actor I know, like, isn't that such a great like piece of advice, is for you to make such specific choices to you and who you are in whatever you're playing, that eventually they associate that style with you.
It's just, Jen, do you have any questions you want to talk about writing or anything?
What?
You have any stuff that you want to add? I love when you ask your stuff. It's really cool. I like listening to that too. It helps me when you ask stuff to people. I love it.
But I didn't hear what you asked me, but I didn't hear what you asked me.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry, because I like when you talk to people, because I'm listening to you talk and them talk, and it helps me, you know what I mean, staying what's going on. Do you have anything you want to ask?
Oh, yeah, I did want to ask something earlier. I wanted to ask if you prefer comedy or acting, like the monologue thing. What do you think is going to be more fun for you?
Yeah, that's actually a question that I ask myself all the time.
Yeah.
Because you only have so much to give. And so at a point in your career, you do kind of have to say, this is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love comedy, but I think the thing that I love about comedy is that it marries my first love, which is writing. Is something I've literally been doing since I could write words, and being on stage. So if I absolutely had to pick between the two, it would certainly be acting, just because it allows me to, share myself with the world, which is what comedy is. But the breadth of what you can do is greater, because in comedy, the comics we love the most and that resonate with us the most are the people that are writing material that's truthful to them, and that is, that it's their experiences. With an actor, I don't just get to do my stuff. I get to take your stuff and make it mine. And so the possibilities are limitless. I'll never run out of things that I can do and talk about on a stage being an actor. And so if I had to choose, and it's a tough decision because I love both, but if I had to choose, I would choose acting, just because it is, it's so freeing, and you get to be whoever you want.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's limitless. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
Like you said. So I did have one other question about you, since you're a writer and you love writing, have you had anything published? Or
I have. Yeah, I've been writing since I was a little kid, so I've had poems published.
I have too. Okay, yeah.
And I've written for other comics, so they've been on late night with jokes that I've written for them. So that's ghostwriting, I suppose. And I'm not going to tell you who. I have a lot of great dick jokes out there that just work better if you have a penis, and I don't have one. So yeah. But yes, hey, we're living in a modern flow society, so I just felt it important to say I'm only making the claim because I don't physically have one. But if you identify as having a penis, good for you. I don't have one. Yeah, so the male perspective sometimes goes over better if you have, some facial hair.
Yes. Thank you. Where can we find you? I mean, which what sites and stuff? Plug your website, whatever you want to.
Yep, the best place to follow me is definitely still Instagram. I'll catch up with the kids on TikTok at some point, but I have an Instagram handle, but I don't do anything with it yet. I'm still just kind of voyeuristically observing. So Instagram, I'm at Trophy Comic, like Trophy Wife, but Trophy Comic, and I post all my updates and things there. And then of course you can follow me on Facebook if you're old school. I'm Walker Hayes, Hays, no E. That's my boo, the country music singer, and he steals my thunder all the time. He doesn't need it. He's way more famous than me. So yeah, just remember Hays. I'm efficient. I don't need an E.
But thank you, Walker. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. And good luck with this podcast. I hope you're celebrating your 1,000th episode soon.
I hope Jenny lives next door to Jack Black, and I live down the street from them.
All right, there you go, guys. You just got to get your mail at the right time, and then big things can happen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Walker, so much.
All right, bye, guys. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Jenny, I'm really excited about our next guest. I know him for a bunch of years. Had worked for Comedy Central for years. He's a writer, a producer. He's also a talent agent, and he's just a really good guy because he also has a bread baking company now, which I wanted to pick his brain about a little bit because as we like bake products for sure, right?
Well, yeah, of course we do.
The great Jim Serpico.
All right.
Hi, Jim.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Coming over a million times over because I really appreciate it. And this is my co-host, Jenny Springs.
Hi, Jim. Nice to meet you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, Jenny. How are you?
Hi.
Nice to
I
meet
think
you.
there's a delay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
There's a little bit of a delay, but it's all good.
Yeah. So are you, I was gonna say, are you in your bread? Is it an online bread business? I don't really know. Mike told me a little bit, but not a whole lot about your business.
She wants to know, could you have it delivered?
It is a virtual baker. It's a virtual bakery.
Okay.
You can have it delivered if you're in within 25 miles of Plainview, Long Island. So it's physical.
I can't get any. Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm in Massachusetts, so I'm out.
Awesome.
I love fresh
what part
bread.
of Massachusetts are you in?
I'm in the Metro West area. I'm about a half an hour out of Boston.
Very
yeah,
cool.
But I was hoping I could get some bread delivered. I love fresh bread. Love.
If you told me last week, I could have brought it up. I was at the Wilbur Theater on Saturday.
Well, I have bad timing.
What were you doing at the Wilbur Theater?
One of my clients was performing at the Wilbur. He's from Boston originally, and it was kind of a big night for him to be performing at that kind of venue for the hometown crowd. So yeah, it was really cool.
Jim, I was telling people how I met you originally. You had casted me for an audition for Shorties Watching Shorties at Caroline years ago, right?
Oh, wow.
And what happened was I did one of the worst things you could do in front of industry people, and you were very cool about it. Some idiot heckled me after Brian just now making an announcement. So I want to say what I said earlier. Pardon my French, Jenny, when somebody heckled me and I go, "What fucking shit rock do your fucking father come out of?" Same one as you did. I'm like, oh no. But I had seen you on TV, so I know what you look like, right? And I thought, oh no, you can listen to me. You just went, yeah, you're so cool about it. I was like, yes.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Yep,
what do you mean? You saw me somewhere?
I had watched you on Comedy Central when you produced stuff.
Right.
Years ago. That's how I got to meet you at work because, like, I was gonna say, what do you call it? Jim, have you ever been an actor or a comedian yourself, or more industry?
No, I've never been an actor. It's certainly never been a comedian, but I've been around comedy most of my professional life. So I've been around a lot of comedians, spent a lot of time with comedians and in comedy clubs, and then producing comedy things like albums and specials. And ultimately, when I started writing for television, was all comedy. I just didn't ever have I don't know. Some people know early on that that's what they want to do. And that was the furthest thing from my mind, because I didn't even know anything about the comedy business. It kind of just evolved, from what I thought my path was going to be, which I thought it was going to be some kind of music industry person, because I was a musician
Nice.
growing up. Yeah. And I was the son of a musician, and I studied music in college, and I had the show business bug that way.
That's
And
really
then
cool. I
when
love music, Jim, and I'm like horrific singing, and my notes are. I'm not good at any kind of instruments. I don't think I am. You know what I mean?
Have you ever tried, Mike?
I did. You know what's really sad? When I was 10 years old, I took a drum class, right, for drums.
I did too, at 10. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, keep going. I just wanted to interject that I also took snare drum at 10.
Boom, 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 like the 1, 2, 3. But I was since childhood, Jim and Jenny, I am a spastic when it comes to timing. It's like, drummer was like boom, 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 boom. I was like, boom, boom, you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
And I try my best, Jim, and teach to my mom, I'm wasting your money and his time. He has no talent at all.
Really? He was that blunt, huh?
I heard that at 10 years old, Jim. It was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of tough to hear at 10, I would think.
But you know what I said to myself, Jim? It bothered me so much I never wanted to play an instrument again the rest of my life. But you know what I thought recently, in the past 10 years? How good of a musician was he?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
I mean, if he was John Bonham, I don't think he'd be teaching.
And what kind of a teacher says that to a 10-year-old or a 10-year-old's mom? I don't know if you were there, but that's an awful thing to say.
It's vicious.
Yeah.
It
kind of devastated me for a long time. But you know what? I moved into other things because, Jim, I was going to ask you, right? Writing wise, Jenny's a really, really really good writer as well, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows you were involved with, right, was Rescue Me.
Mm-hmm.
I love that show so much because I'm a huge Dennis Leary fan to begin with. I love him as an actor. And one of my favorite episodes, I don't know if you wrote this one, but my favorite episodes from that show when he talked to his ghosts, his friends that were 9/11. I mean, that was like really, really, you know what I mean, wonderful and intense. And there was an episode where he was rescuing a little girl under a couch. I forgot what season it was, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like talking to her, and you could see how sad Dennis was, and you know what I mean? And like he offered her a candy bar, and then she had died already. And I'm like, holy crap. It brought tears. I'm not afraid to say it brought tears to my eyes. I'm like, I love that show so much. You guys did a freaking fantastic job. I watched it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't write on that show. I did executive produce the show. Dennis did a lot of the writing, and him and, of course, Peter Tolan, but a lot of it came from Dennis. A lot of those ideas and stories.
You were part of something phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, like, TV got so much better over the years after that. I mean, like, I remember, as a kid, I liked TV, but one of my favorite shows is Breaking Bad.
Me too.
I love that.
It's one of my favorites.
That was because, I mean, like Walter White, I mean, Bryan Cranston was Seinfeld's dentist. I mean, he played Malcolm in the Middle's dad, and they go from that to like a Tony Soprano type almost.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, he had it all, right? He's got the comedic chops. He did a lot of comedy stuff.
So good. I heard he's a nice guy. I heard he is. I really don't know.
He is. He helped us do a pilot once. We did a claymation comedy thing, and he provided the voice on it before he was Walter White, and he was very cool.
Nice.
Just amazing.
So good to hear that. Because Jim, who was your favorite actor? Do you have I got a couple of them. What about you, Jen?
Jen or Jim?
Both of you. Both of you guys, and I'll tell you who mine is.
I know who yours is. I think. Maybe. Am I right? Do you know who I'm thinking of? The nice one. Like, is that the one?
I like.
Else?
I'm trying to remember now. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on here for a second.
The person that is very nice. in real life.
Oh, Tony Shalhoub?
No, I'm sure he's very nice in real life too, but I'm talking about, never mind. Tell me who your favorite actor is.
I just lost my thought, Jim. I just lost my train of thought right now. Whose
Well,
name was
you don't.
Jim?
I mean, my favorite actor from watching things on television and movies, I'm a sucker for 70s movies.
Oh, nice.
Interesting.
You know, like Sidney Lumet films. I love that tone. I love the grit of those kind of things. So I loved, like, one of my favorite movies is Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino.
Oh,
So I love
amazing.
the early Al Pacino stuff.
He's
it's a little,
incredible.
yeah, you know, especially that early stuff.
I love him because when you see him in The Godfather, right, as Michael Corleone, playing gangster roles, people can go way over the top. You know what I mean? Sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But when he threatened Carlo, was going to kill the Turk, Jim, you could see how, like, his body language didn't like him. You know what I mean? He didn't have to say a word. You could tell how much hostility he had towards him without saying a word to him. And then when he threatened Carlo,
Right.
He didn't go over the top. He was so menacing just by his tone of voice.
Yes, and I love that. I do have a pet peeve. I can't stand over the top gangsters. There was actually a Bryan Cranston series that was pretty good recently on Showtime where he played a judge. I forget the name of it, but it had to do the antagonist was a mobster, and I found that to be very over the top the way they were doing it.
You know who was a great mobster on TV? I like 80s TV and 70s. Ray Sharkey. I liked him more with the TV show Wise Guy.
Yeah, great show.
And Jen, who was your favorite? I want to find out. I forgot who my favorite actor was. Saying
they must not have made that much of an impression on me then. My favorite actors, I have more than one, but a lot of them are from a time long gone that nobody would even know, like 40s actors, 30s, 40s.
I love that time period.
So, yeah, I like a lot of those actors. You know,
Jim, you watched a lot of movies from those days?
I watch a ton of movies from. Oh, these are Jen. Have you ever, Jim? Have you ever seen like some of the film noirs, or I don't know?
I
like
really
some of the classic
didn't.
Hitchcock movies.
I've seen some of the. Yeah, I've seen the Hitchcock stuff. You know, as I got into the business, like I said, I didn't study it early on, so I had to try to play catch up. Sometimes when people would be talking about Kurosawa, I would be like, "Who's Kurosawa?" And you know, like go back and look at that and films like that. So I did some of that, but I have not watched a lot of the older ones. But it's amazing now, like when I go pitch to executives now, they haven't seen anything. They haven't seen the 70s movies, the 80s movies. I'm sure they haven't seen the 40s movies.
Well, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's really different. It's a different world out there.
Well, I'm kind of opposite of that. I really watch pretty much only those kind of movies.
I love
and probably like anything past the 90s. I do still go to the movies. I still do see
I'm like lost
movies,
after 1986.
but people will talk about things from now or even like certain actors from now. And even though I act, I don't know who half these people are. And it's like, oh, and I'm really clueless. I'm just like, oh yeah, you know, I don't really know, but talk about somebody from the 30s or even the 20s. I'm starting to get familiarized with those films. I'm starting to watch the silence now. The silent films are actually some of them good. Some of them are boring. Some of them are good though. You know, you have to find the right ones.
Oh, Paul Giamatti, that's my favorite actor, one of my favorites.
Amazing.
That's not who I was thinking, Mike.
Oh no, Jen. Who we think?
You know who I was thinking. You know who I was thinking.
Jen.
Leather jacket.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. Oh, God. Jenny.
Yeah.
Later on after this thing is done, you can go crazy and scream. My mistake, Jen, I'm so sorry. I want to tell you, this is a great story she just made me bring up, Jim.
Yeah.
Henry Winkler.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was your favorite.
Great actor.
He is. What happened was, I've been a fan of his since childhood, like a lot of people have, right? And I told him in Bennington one day, he helped save my childhood because I was this fat kid that was bullied, you know what I mean, right? And I looked up to the Fonz. So you know what Ron did? He had me and Henry come on the same show on Bennington, right? It was via Zoom. And this is what I said to him. I said, this exact words to him. I go, I've been wanting to tell you something the past 46 years, right? I called him Mr. Winkler. He goes, no, call me Henry, right? So I'm like, I go, I was a fat kid that was bullied in childhood, you know, and I looked up to the Fonz as a hero, and it made me stand up to people later in life. I wish kids had someone to look up like that now. And he just like, you can tell how real he is. He was taken back by it, you know what I mean, right? And it's like, he told me, he goes, I got up at 5 a.m. in LA to hear this in the morning. He goes, it's one of the best. He was so really nice to me. Jim, he tweeted at me Happy New Year last year. It's like, whoa, it's like, it's amazing how he is.
He seems like a genuine, grateful guy. I know he follows a lot of comedy. Yeah, he's pretty great. He's pretty great. I haven't met him. I came close to meeting him because I had a mutual friend who was his agent. And when I used to go to LA a lot and go out with a friend of mine who worked for a studio, I'm not going to use his name or the studio name, but we would go out for lunch and like fancy dinners. And they have an expense account, and he would have to write down the guests at the dinner. And he would always put, when we went out together, that Henry Winkler was there, because he was like, when I turn this in, who's going to question the bill when it's Henry Winkler and the Fonz? That was like an inside joke. And we did this for years.
Oh, of course. I mean,
we got the message to Henry Winkler, and I was going to surprise my friend by having Henry show up to the lunch for real one time, but it never happened. But he's the kind of guy that would do it.
It's like, Jim, I was going to ask you, and I think about the business. Before we go any more business with this, I'm dying to find out about your bakery, and because it's like, Jim, what made you start it? And like, I like food, as you can tell, especially the bakers you had. Like, I'm like, stuffed bread. He's going to give me a stroke.
Yeah. You know, so what happened was I was always into making pasta and bread as a hobby. And I would do it with my kids, my wife and kids on the weekends. And then, you know, when COVID happened, right before COVID, I was going into Manhattan every day from where I live in Long Island. You know, it's about hour, 20 minutes each way by the time you get on the railroad and the subway and do your thing. And COVID crushed us all, right? Especially in the entertainment business. And everything came to a screeching halt, and my commute stopped. There wasn't much that I could do for my clients because there was no live work. So we were doing some of these, you know, virtual type of shows or whatever. But I had a lot of time on my hands, and my kids who were out of state going to school were home too, because school was shut down or whatever. And we always joked about the name Side Hustle Bread. That's what we would call it inside the home. And we started an Instagram account with the first bread that we made, which was prosciutto bread.
Wow.
Which to this day is
like, what it is?
No.
Oh, you can tell what kind of bread it is. You'll love it. So good.
It's an Italian semolina bread with white flour, durum flour, a little bit of black pepper, salami, mortadella, aged provolone, and salami.
You gotta try it. Jen, what's your favorite kind of bread that you love?
My favorite kind of bread or his favorite kind of bread?
Yours.
Jim and Jen sound kind of the same. I like French bread and Italian bread. It's just regular plain French bread, Italian bread that's hot and fresh and good.
It's hard to find that because that's how I know I went to a good restaurant. You know, I use that rule of thumb because usually if the bread's good, everything else should be.
I agree. I think a lot of people skimp on the bread thing, and like you said, it's not easy to get. Like a lot of the problem with the bread business, which I've learned because we've gotten to the point, you know, where we're doing 1,000 loaves a weekend. It's perishable. Yeah.
Holy crap! God bless you, man. That's like how long? I mean, you're amazing because first of all, you do so much stuff on your own. You know, produce. manage people, write stuff, bake bread. I'm like, how many hours of sleep do you get? I mean, I'm like, whoa, I love this stuff.
But it goes in waves, you know, like I'm not always producing stuff. I'm not always managing people. It goes in waves through the years. And I think of these things like projects and, you know, it's like that in terms of the producing, there's so many things that go into that. It's like conceiving a show, pitching it. It may get picked up, it may not. You could write something on spec. It's hard to write, Jen. You probably know, like 8 hours a day.
Oh God, yeah, because
You know, I probably have 2 hours in me at max. And or either way, I still need to break it up. Like if you do a good 2-hour session, I need to step away. I need to step away.
Yeah.
And like the
Absolutely.
bakery thing for me is like another project. That's really how I look at it. And
when-
we try to keep it to the weekends.
When you have to,
Yeah.
when you have 1,000 orders, what do you, like, how long does
Whoa.
that take you?
So it takes us like, we'll start actually tonight. Tonight's Thursday. So tonight with the sourdough stuff, which is naturally leavened, it's got to be mixed tonight and rise overnight and bulk proof. And then the stuff starts getting baked tomorrow morning through the night, goes through very early into Saturday morning. And then Saturday morning, we're at like two really big markets.
whoa.
Yeah.
Jim, that's another thing I'm not good at. I mean, the only thing I'm good at is comedy, acting, and writing. I told Jenny this. I remember I worked at Dunkin' Donuts when I was in high school, right?
Yeah.
I worked there for 2 weeks. I got fired. You know what happened? I thought it was, you know, like having the creative mind that artists and actors do. I started making donuts that were square. The back of it, all right?
It might.
And this is in the late 70s, right? He goes, what is wrong? I go, well, people probably want to change over. He goes, yeah, we can have a changeover too. You're out of here.
I think you might be onto something, man. I would welcome square donuts. I believe in the change.
Hey, thanks, but Jim, I was going to ask you a very serious question about the business itself, right? Acting and comedy, right?
Mhm.
You're a really nice guy that's been always very honest with me, and I totally respect that. You've always been upfront. We need a lot more people like you in this because, okay, let me ask you something, right? Does the industry like arrogant people or they just shy away? Because it seems like some people that are big can be arrogant, and usually I find if they're arrogant, maybe their representation may be just as well.
I don't think the industry cares either way. I don't think that
Well,
they dislike arrogant people as long as whoever's in front of them has the ability to make them money.
well,
That's really what I believe. And it's like the industry, that term is a term I don't personally love.
I know.
because I think it generalizes everybody into this one type of person. And I
No,
think
it's
that,
not at all.
you know, and it's a comedy term, especially.
Oh God, they love throwing it around.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, and they're
Like I said, you
really
were down
nice
to earth when
people.
I met you. It's like you were nice. You were very, you know what I mean, cordial. And it wasn't like that. Like some people, like you know, like I'll tell you one funny. When I first started this in 1992,
Yeah.
when I was meeting agents a couple years in, but those were like the old time guys. Like they were like, "Hey, buddy, give me 150 headshots. I'm gonna make you a star, buddy." I'm like, whoa.
Right.
It's a lot different now.
You know, like I didn't come up through agency or anyone really. And I think that the people who come up through that way, which by the way, one of my sons is kind of doing that.
Oh, nice.
You know, those people, listen, I always worked hard in a lot of hours and very focused, but they are at the big agencies, they have to churn based on how much money's coming in.
Oh yeah.
And it's a whole different mindset. And maybe those people come off as arrogant. I don't know, but I'd hate to generalize them too.
No, you're right, because like that's the problem I always had with people sometimes. It's like either I would find someone to work with me, they're really nice people who worked hard, but they had no clout that can really help me as much as I could have used, or they were gigantic and they had like all huge people. And I understand they had to worry about the huge people first before anybody.
That's an issue. That's a big issue in the business, especially in comedy. I mean, that is the way it is right now. You're either like you're really an earner, and that's the only possible way to get those big agents right now. There's no in-betweens.
Absolutely.
Like when I first started, there was more of the smaller management companies. They were common in New York in the late 80s and 90s, or more common than now. I don't think they even exist now.
No, because I remember years ago, Jim, the Gersh agency, people like that would develop new people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, like, I'll give you a good example. Jen, I have a friend in California that I went to high school with. He's a writer. He has a specialized job in the agency. He works for William Morris and Deborah, right? But his job is to find scripts for his clients. You know what I mean? Like he has like 3 people. He has Denzel Washington, Jim Carrey, and somebody else of that caliber, right? And he went to bat for me in LA. You know what they told him? We know his work, we like him, but when he starts making the kind of money Daniel Tosh does, we'll come in with him.
Right. Yeah, that is the way it is. I mean,
And
they're
like,
honest about that.
And that's just the way it is. But you know what? That's why I started something like this, because we are in an age of empowerment now. You know what I mean? If you're sitting back on your ass doing nothing, it's your fault.
100%.
Yeah.
Which
Right?
was,
I mean, you know, I wish your bakery, I guarantee you eventually you'll be delivering worldwide something eventually, probably.
I'll be doing what?
Worldwide bakery across the world. I mean, you can get bread in Nova Scotia from your bakery. You know?
I don't know. I mean, it's been about it's coming on. It's 2.5 years now, and we are like constantly evaluating what is our step, if there is a next step, or do we just keep it a hobby? You know, it's something that we think about. It's a tough
But it
business.
looks so delicious, and I know it is
Thank
being
you.
Italian because I love your commercials you did, especially with your son. You were teaching him how to say something in Italian, and he was like,
Yeah, Sfrugliatelle.
I can't even see. Jen, listen to this word, right? It's so funny.
Yeah.
Can you say it again?
Sfrugliatelle.
Sfrugliatelle. I don't even know how bad I
What is that?
It's an Italian. It's like a lobster tail. It's an Italian light fluffy pastry with a ricotta mixture inside,
Oh, okay.
and some powdered sugar on top. Yeah.
Jen takes she's been taking a lot of languages. She's been learning a whole bunch of them. Like, she got me to learn German a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think German's as hard as people say it is, at least so far. I find Italian actually to be really difficult, for me anyway. I don't know.
Me too.
Even though there are similarities between like French and Italian and Spanish and even German, I can find some similarities, but I just think it's so hard because like il mio or like mio, mia, mie, whatever. There's so many different ways to say mine, yours, theirs, ours. It's so confusing for me.
Don't you think Spanish is like that? That's why I never really excelled in it.
Yes, Spanish is hard for me too. Yeah.
I had a hard time in Spanish.
Me too. I wish I really took it more seriously, I guess. Like back then in I think it was middle school where I was taking it, I was just trying to get through it and pass the class.
Oh God,
Yeah.
me too. I was like hiding in the back. Jim, how were you in school as a student? I was very awkward and shy.
Well, I was a music person, so I really just like, and I kind of still feel like this in ways, like we all have choices that we make in how we spend our time. And my choice was not making sure I did really well in school. I did okay. I did okay.
I was like shy. Like I was like, if the book report was called, I was like, oh no, not me. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I guess I was,
got me out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of shy people that are actors, right? I think I consider myself pretty shy. Especially when I was a younger adult.
Jenny, you want to ask? I'm sorry for monopolizing this whole thing. You want to talk to Jim a little bit? I'm so sorry, Jen.
I've been talking. I don't know. Is there anything you want to speak about
you want to
specifically?
say? I mean, ask him about.
I'm asking Jim if there's anything he wants to talk about specifically, or do you have a favorite thing that you do?
Favorite thing I do?
Yeah.
I like juggling different things. Maybe it's like maybe I have ADD and I like to work on different projects. So I like to break my day up into, you know,
Different
making
sections.
sure
or-
I'm accountable and doing the best job I can have for the couple clients that I work with. I like to talk to my producing partner, Tom Stiletti. We talk throughout the whole day and we talk, about our projects together and come up with strategies. I love strategizing different things. And I like the same way I like to strategize with the bakery and what our next move is or how we going to get the word out. And I kind of I like the social media thing of the bread thing. It's been a creative outlet because, one of the things about the entertainment business is like, if you audition and try to get agents and you're waiting around, right? So when do you get the opportunity to do something? So,
You're
and that's
right.
why
Create something.
yeah. So
That's
I
the
have a
best way to be now.
podcast, where I talk to people as well. And I have really cool conversations with people that I wouldn't have met unless I was doing the podcast. I love that. Yeah, just like I love networking. I really find that I do like people and I like
too.
finding different creative outlets.
Yeah, I do too. I like all of those things. I like networking. I like being creative. I do have a problem with like concentrating on things. So I actually will write things. I'll write different things at once. I'll start writing something and then I'll like go to something else. And so I can have 3 projects at once and like go from one to the next because I can't stay focused on something for a very long period of time. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just I have to change it. I just have to.
So
But it
throughout the
works.
day,
I
you
mean, yeah.
write 3 different projects in one day.
Sometimes I do, yeah. Sometimes I
Yes.
just focus on one thing.
So we
But
did a scene together that Jenny wrote recently, right? And the worst thing, it's so hard to find a great script, as you know. It really is but the thing, like, we've been in that, sometimes you go to acting class and they give you scripts that are like, I know we got to be a detective with the scripts, right?
Yeah.
But something Jenny wrote, it was like pointed out immediately, but she left things in you still let her guess about, and it's flowed, and people talk like that in real life. Those are the kind of scripts I love, like Breaking Bad or Rescue Me, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those kind of shows. Have you guys seen Yellowstone?
No.
I put it up. I put it up with Breaking Bad. It's that good.
Really?
Oh, nice. What do you think of Don't Call Saul? I like Odenkirk. He's funny, but I didn't like it as much as I don't know. I mean,
I agree. I agree. I mean, people love it. People love it. I maybe I didn't give it enough time.
Me too.
I know my kids love it, but I felt it was a little slower. And I know they probably did it for a very different budget, and the goal was different in making it, but it didn't appeal to me as much, and I didn't find that I had to watch every one of them.
Without Walter was kind of like, it fell flat for some. I think I hope he didn't want to kill me now.
Bob Odenkirk's a genius. He really is
a genius, right? It's like, and my favorite characters in that show. I felt bad about Hank. He was a great character.
He's awesome.
I don't know the actor's name. I should know him.
Hank. I don't remember who played
Hank. He was Walt's brother-in-law. There was a DEA agent.
Yeah, I think it was Dean Norris.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you see The Irishman? I watched it 9 times.
No.
You haven't seen it?
I couldn't get into it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of found some things a little weird with it, but like, there's an actor in there. He was on Boardwalk Empire. He played a character named Sally Bugs.
Okay.
In The Irishman. I know I forgot his name, but I wish I would audition with that because like the character Sally Bugs was a quirky, goofy guy like me, but he was also a mobster. You know what I mean? It's like,
interesting.
And it was fun to watch. But the thing is, 3.5 hours though, Jim. That's a little insane.
That's crazy. That's one of the reasons I didn't watch it. I don't have that attention span.
I watched it in 2 nights each time. So I spent 18 hours of my life watching it 9 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love Pesci that much. That's why I adore him.
He's amazing.
Have you ever met him? I would love to meet him one day.
I've never met him. Never met him. But he's just absolutely amazing. So are you
He's
still
so great.
are you still hitting the clubs every night?
You know what? Since the pandemic, I haven't, because you know why? I have major heart disease
Right.
and chronic bronchitis when this came out. But I've been writing up a storm because, you know, it was really cool. I know I told you this a couple of years ago, Jen, I had a CD that wound up being #9 at Sirius XM. This is in 2019. I've been writing up a storm. I want to produce another one because it was so much fun to do.
Absolutely.
I got to get back out there, but
do you have the energy to do it?
I definitely think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I love to write. I just adore writing comedy, especially because, and when it flows, it's like the River Jordan.
Absolutely.
Jenny, you have anything you want to ask Jim? I'm sorry to keep bothering you. I just want to make sure you're part. You know, I ask great questions. They ask amazing questions, and Jim, Jen is she's very super intelligent and a great actress and a great person to have on here with me, because it's very hard to do this on your own.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard for people to hear me. I know I have I have a very soft voice, which I actually just started vocal instruction because I want to be able to be louder. Because people are always like, talk louder, talk louder. It's like I physically can't talk louder. So I'm trying to learn.
You have an adorable voice. You'd be great in voice, though. You really do.
Well, I mean, I want to learn how to project it, because half the time people don't hear what I'm saying. And, you know, I talk like in a regular circumstance, you know, I'm talking all the time, which I'm really proud of myself because I'm sitting here so nice and quietly.
You sound fine here. You sound totally fine here.
Thank you.
You know, sometimes
that's a cool background you got. I love that.
Thanks. Yeah, I made this little kind of studio thing at my place because.
Oh, nice. You know. How long did it take? Because I'm like, I wish I could. I'm not mechanically. I got so many things I can't do, but I'd like to do comedy.
This again, like I've been doing my podcast for about 6 months now. Put out one every week. So I probably started it 8 to 12 months ago, and this where I am right now, I just started using about a month. Such a great background
because it's like it catches you right away, you know, and it's comfortable. You know what I mean? That's people want to see.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and it makes me feel like I'm going to work. You know, like you do these things at home and stuff. I come to this area, I set up the lighting, I do my thing, and I feel like I'm doing a show. So I kind of.
Who's your favorite comic out of all people? I like Andrew Dice Clay a lot.
I think he's pretty cool. You know, when I was a kid and a teenager, I would. My father would always work on New Year's Eve, and I'd be home with my friends. We'd have a sleepover, and we would watch George Carlin on HBO.
Oh, nice!
And I loved it, and he always was someone I looked up to and thought he was amazing as a comedian and the type of comedy. And down the road, I got to meet him, which was really cool.
Oh, nice! I wish I had.
Yeah, he was really nice. Really, really nice and generous with his time. So yeah, I would say he's my favorite comedian. You know, there's also so many different styles of comedy now.
Especially today, absolutely.
Yeah, so you know, I do appreciate all different styles. So it also depends on the style.
And comedy is so subjective, just like music is. Am I right or wrong? Because some people are going to like this, some people may not, and I don't know. I mean, I like Dice because I got to meet him a couple of times.
Yeah.
And Jen, there's a big difference I was telling this to Jenny one time, there's a big difference between Dice character and Andrew Silverstein. Two different people and I got to meet the Silverstein character, and he's like a teddy bear compared to Clay. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's only part of him. You know what I mean? People think when he first came out, they give him a hard time and doing this and that to him, but it was comedy.
Yeah. And there's so many good comedians, and just take anyone who could stand up there for an hour and just murder and kill. The guys like Tom Papa, Mark Normand, I love.
Me too.
Dave Attell.
Dave Attell's an animal. I seen him the first time I saw the comedy. Jen, there's a comic named Dave Attell, right? He's been around for a long time. And I went to the Boston Comedy Club to see him because I was, went to open mic. He was just working on stuff. This is like 1993. He was probably a comic about 6 or 7 years at that time, right? Jim,
Yep.
He rocked that building. I mean, it shook.
Yeah.
He killed so much, right? And I was only doing comedy a year, and I got a lot of stuff ahead of me. You got to just go back to that drawing board.
Yeah.
Right? And he's always been nice to me. I love Adele.
He's a good guy. And then there's a guy like the project I'm most proud about is by a comedian that a lot of people don't know, but he's known as the godfather of Boston comedy, Don Gavin.
I know that name. I heard about him. I never met him, but I know who he is for sure.
He was like one of when the Boston comedy scene first started, and it had like one of the greatest comedy scenes ever.
Jenny's from Massachusetts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oh, you are?
Yes, I'm from
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
you're right out there. You said that. Yep. And Stephen Wright was doing it then, and all these guys, but Don was one of the guys, and he inspired all the Bill Burr and Joe Rogan and all those people. So he put out an album many years ago that never really got distribution, and I distributed it about before the pandemic, maybe 6 months before the pandemic, and then I went with him and this guy Jimmy Dunn. We took Don out to Los Angeles, and he did Rogan, and he did Burr, and he did Maron, and did this whole promotional tour. And it was just like, to see this guy finally get his due was really cool.
I love when I hear that, because especially if you've been around. I was going to ask you very interesting. Just made me think of something right now, right? Like comics are like housewives. I remember when I first started, right? Like, they're like, dude, did you see this guy go to killing, right? You know what I mean? All over the place, right? And I remember people I started with, for some reason, it's like everybody goes, they're going to be huge, right? And for some reason, it didn't happen. And then there are other people like, they overlook like, yeah, whatever, and they became gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a specific why people don't just, I think a lot has to do, especially now, with the audience loving you now, especially these days.
This is a difficult topic. There's different ways that a comedian can make it. And especially back, again, my contacts in the beginning in the comedy business was in 1990.
Well,
so around then and before and a little after, you always needed, besides stand-up, like even if you were a stand-up before that, you became really popular. How did you become popular? Because you were on the Tonight Show.
Oh, yeah.
2 channels on the air, right? So you always it's very difficult to become a household name as a stand-up comic only. It is possible.
Oh, yeah.
But think about how many people in the world have done it. So that's the thing. Other people cross over from having a show on the air, right? Seinfeld, Ray Romano. Other people, do it from podcasts now. It's one way, but also that's also difficult because the market's saturated. So, it's tough. There's a lot of really funny people.
They're going to be huge, and we all thought, and then somebody else they overlooked, and it's. But today, thank God we can empower ourselves, because Jen, you have any questions you want to ask Jim? Because I'm going to wrap this up soon. I want you to have some more fun with us.
I don't know a lot of the people you're talking about, so
no, but you can ask anything else about it, anything you want.
I don't know. What's your favorite thing that you do? I might have already asked. I think that was somebody else I asked. What's your favorite thing that you do? If you had to pick. If you could, can you pick even?
I would say it's hard for me to pick. I love writing in entertainment. I love writing. I love being on the set when I have that opportunity, and the camaraderie of working with other talented artists in all different facets and departments. I hope to be able to do that again. So I would say that experience is a very cool experience.
Networking is really great on the set too, and like talking to people. Like for writing, have you ever published anything, or are you planning to? Or
I've had I created a show called Benders that was on IFC that had Andrew Schultz and Chris DiStefano. You know, I've written and sold pilots, and I'm pitching something by the end of the year to HBO and Netflix with my partner, and we hope to get a sale, but you never know. And you know, kind of constantly working on new things. But yeah, I only write like television, and I have written one feature. But yeah,
Wow, you've written a feature?
Writing, I developed a feature based on a book a couple years ago. Yeah, but I really right now I just love TV. I think there's just an amazing opportunity for good TV.
You got great actors and great writing now. It's like it really changed in the past 10 years or more, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's high level now. It's like, because like with Breaking Bad, I know I keep bringing that back, but I'm using it as an example because the writing was high level and the acting was high level. And it was just such a great balance. And it came together.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why it's in most of the top 10 lists, right? It's just so well done.
Jim, I think I was telling this to Jenny one day that right now, really good writers are golden. Am I right or wrong? Because they're like gold now. Am I right or wrong? If you can find someone that's like that, that's one thing. I think it's really hard to find great stuff. Am I right or wrong at that level of writing? Because some stuff is good, not to criticize anybody, but some stuff is just better than others because you just got to point this out in the script. You know what I mean? Just one quick thing. Did you ever see the show Hell on Wheels?
I have not.
It's a show about the Old West from like the 1860s.
Okay.
But you would feel like you were there with Jesse James.
Wow.
So good. Because that's one thing, Jim, I noticed about TV that I love. I'll watch something on Netflix, right? And within like 5 or 6 minutes, this has to be good for me. The pace and how fast TV has to, you know what I mean? That's why I love television, because of the pace of it. You know what I mean? Like movies can drag on.
Yeah, some movies can. They have the freedom to do that. With TV,
pace is so important, right, Jim? I think even in television and stand-up and everything, you know what I mean? It's very important to have that, for sure, pace, right?
Yeah, you want to keep the viewer or person in the audience engaged. You don't want them to drift off, and you want to keep them the whole time, and then they're going to want to come back next time. That's the whole act of storytelling.
Jim, we're going to say goodbye to you, Jim. We appreciate it. Jen, we'll both say goodbye to Jim. This is so much fun. I really appreciate
Thank you, guys.
You on. You're a super busy guy. And Jim, is there anything you want to plug?
Check out our podcast, Bread for the People. It's available everywhere you get your podcasts. Yeah, that's my plug for right now.
Thanks. It was one of the nice. I'm so glad. I mean, I only seen you once. I only never really met you in person, but except when I got fat, except when I laced into somebody at Caroline's, which I shouldn't.
That's awesome.
That's how you're cool right away. You like gave me a thumbs up laughing, right? Because I was like wondering, oh no. I mean, I'll give advice to people now. Never lace into anybody during an audition like that. Am I right or wrong? No.
Yeah, exactly. That's all good though. We live and learn.
But Jen, we'll say goodbye to Jim.
Sure. It was very nice meeting you, Jim. Nice talking to you. And it's called Bread for the People, your podcast?
Bread for the People. Yeah, that's the podcast.
Bread for the People. I'm going to check that out.
Give it a listen.
Yeah.
All right.
Too
Thank
bad
you guys so much.
Deliver to Massachusetts.
Maybe one day.
Where are you from? I meant to ask you, Rich. I'm so sorry.
Long Island.
Nice. My cousins, I spent a lot of time out there. My cousins lived in Serpico when I was a kid. In Park, I think. Yeah. And I love Long Island because it's like, especially like, I think comedy out there in that audience is fantastic.
It's great. It's a great town, great area, and they love comedy out here. So it's all
but anyway,
good.
Jim, I'm sorry for babbling so much, but we're going to let you go. But thank you so much.
Guys. All right. Good luck with everything.
Thank you, Jim, so much.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, Mike, I think we had a great show, don't you?
We certainly did, Jim. Thank you.
It was great having Walker Hayes and Joe Serpico on. They were wonderful people, wonderful guests, very interesting. And I would like to thank everybody for watching and have a great day. And bye, everybody.
Thank you.